right, we're live. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Angie's Angles. It is December the 4th in the year of my Lord, 2025. Welcome, one and all, to Angie's Angles, coming to you live from Smoke Therapy, 215 Ronkonkoma Avenue, Ronkonkoma, New York. What's going on, Harold? I am interstellar. So tonight we're going to be covering the Devin Williams signing, another player that the New York Mets grab away from the New York Skankies. We all know how Juan Soto worked out for us last year. He was non-existent in the first half and was unstoppable in the second half. Now, some interesting stats on Devin Williams. He was in the 99th percentile of whiff rate, swings and misses. However, his hard contact rate went up to about 38%. All in all, he converted 18 out of 21 attempts for saves. I mean, Edwin Díaz had the same ratio. Edwin had more, obviously, but the same amount of missed opportunities for both players. This Devin Williams signing only works if we either re-sign Edwin Díaz or get a qualified closer to fill that void. I honestly think that Edwin Díaz is going to re-sign with the New York Mets, which keeps the trumpet song alive. And he's willing to be a setup guy. He doesn't want the glory. He doesn't want the pressure. He doesn't want the all eyes on him. Harold Atkins, I am a duo interstatal. So we want to break this down. Now, as we all know, Brandon Nimmo, hashtag Nimmo sucks, is no longer a New York Met. He agreed to be traded to the Rangers. In return, we got Marcus Semien, bona fide Gold Glove second baseman, who at the moment is saying all the right words. Now, he too had agreed to the trade. And it's kind of curious that both players would agree to the trade. Nimmo thinking he's going to a better team. Semien has to believe he's coming to a better team. And we don't know the behind-the-walls commentary that they had with each player, right? You don't know what the Rangers told Nimmo. You don't know what the Mets told Semien of not only their short-range plans, but their long-range plans. Hey, Nick, I don't know. I don't know if you're being hacked, but your commentary is all over the place. Eric Schuster, how are you? Go, Eric Schuster. There was a big article on how Bauer will never see a major league field unless he buys a ticket like you and me, Eric. So we got to give up on the Bauer bandwagon. Lots of heavy rumors bringing in Joe Ryan. We're still in the Framber Valdez market. We still got Tariq Skubal, potential trade. All possibilities. Eric, when they said how he was Mark Brooks, my brother from another. How are you? They're all saying that Eric, that article was how he was blackballed, and that Major League Baseball collectively, you want to use the C word, collusion, okay. I'm just asking the buddy to bring my book in. Give me 1 second. So, Eric, Trevor Bauer is not gonna come back to the majors. Not happening. So the Devin Williams signing. Listen, the guy was gold until one Pete Alonso took him deep, and then all confidence went out the window with the guy. But yeah, thank you so much, brother. I appreciate you. So Eric, we all agree. Listen, you can't say Trevor Bauer's a good guy. He made some life choices that were a little prohibitive. It's been proven that she was a gold digger and she made up lies. I get it. She not only did that to him, she did it to another athlete. So, and she is facing jail time, if not already. But that doesn't change that he's not a good guy, Eric. I mean, he made some poor social decisions. He role played, etc., etc. But I don't want to spend the entire episode on Trevor Bauer. Eric, all because you met him. I mean, it doesn't mean he's a great guy. It was nice that he met you, but let's get past Trevor Bauer. It's just not going to happen. What is he? 36 years old now. You know, there's not a market for him. Otherwise, somebody would have signed him. It's a real it's definitely collusion that they've blackballed him from Major League Baseball. I think it was Rob Manfred that led that charge with the with the collusion and the blackballing. So anyway, our bullpen is setting up pretty good. If we sign Edwin Díaz and or replace Edwin Díaz with another quality guy. Um, there's some people available. I, for one, would like us, and I've been saying this for the last couple of podcasts, that we really should take a deep dive into Lucas Giolito. I think Lucas Giolito has some bounce back ability. I think he's a very serviceable fourth or fifth guy. And if nothing else, he provides very deep depth to the New York Mets rotation. And as you know, didn't we lead the league in most different starters pitching for the New York Mets last year? So I'm not really sure that we're done in that market. I really do think that we are going to get a Joe Ryan, a Framber Valdez, at least one of those two. I really think that's a possibility. And if we do that with the current guys that we have, and don't forget, you could take Clay Holmes and make him your closer. He's not unknown to that position. He did it, albeit not so bad. Yeah, Harold, Giolito's a good get. And I think you could have him on the cheap, and that's obviously Stern's MO. And if you could get Giolito to plug into that rotation, that frees up a lot more money. Now, speaking about money, everybody should know by now that Steve Cohen was issued a gambling license. Citi Field is going to be transformed into this mega park, recreation, gambling, concert venue by the year 2030. So we already know that Steve Cohen has X amount of dollars in his back pocket. Now he just found, like, he just went to the beach and found a treasure trove of money with this gambling license, which also bothers me because with all these gambling schemes out there in professional sports, I'd really not like to have the Mets associated with a gambling operation, but apparently it's going to happen, and we're going to have to see what comes out of that. Harold Atkins, what say you about the Devin Williams signing and the potential Edwin Díaz? Now, I think the sticking point is that we're looking to do Edwin wants another 5-year deal. So what I think we do is we offer him a 4-year, $100 million deal, which gives him his AAV that he wants, a little bit more, actually. It'll give him $5 million a year because he signed the 5-year, $100 million. And then we do a mutual option for year 5 with a buyout clause. So again, it's not my money, But that's how I would approach Edwin Díaz, because while he kept Rolaids and Tums in business, I really do believe that he's the guy that you got to go to. He definitely gets along with the core of guys. They all rallied around him when we were spitting a bit and when he cried in the locker room and lost all confidence. I think that injury to him in the World Baseball Classic did him in as well. So it's going to be an interesting couple of weeks. The winter meetings start down in Orlando this Sunday. So we're going to see what happens. I think we're going to see a lot of activity because the Mets can't. They can't do what they did last year and sign Pete in the 11th hour in February at a very team-friendly contract. We all knew at the signing it was a one-year deal. Officer Lennon, what's going on, brother? Thanks for joining us, Officer Lennon. We appreciate you. So Harold Atkins is saying, I really believe, contrary to what Senga wants, he's expendable. Yeah, I got news for you, Harold. Senga is a likable guy. And when he's on, and he finished the year with a 3 ERA. Yeah, he also finished in AAA. I get it. But at the major league level, he was unconscious. He was pitching to a 1.8 before the hammy issue repeat. And I think Senga, first of all, the Asian players have a different level of pride than the American players, in my humble opinion. I think Senga is going to do everything in his power to be 100% healthy. I think he's going to go back to the videotapes and watch what made him successful. I do think that the league has caught on to his ghost ball because they laid off on it a lot when he came back from his injury, and maybe the ghost ball, the ghost pitch wasn't as prominent as it was prior to the injury. So I just really don't understand. But I would not give up on Senga. I would not give up on Tong. Tong was the AAA Player of the Year. So he has some absolute value there. And you put a 21-year-old kid, what was he, 21, 22-year-old kid, in the middle of a playoff push where every start was under the microscope, not only by the fans, but his teammates, by the team themselves, by ownership, the whole 9 yards. So I really do think you bring Senga back. I really do think you add another pitcher, whether it be Valdez or Ryan. I think you re-sign Edwin Díaz, and that brings us to the ugly elephant in the room, which is one Pete Alonso. Now, my buddy Kevin Elliott is absolutely certain, without a shadow of a doubt, that Pete Alonso is going to be Boston Red Sox, a Red Sox guy. I'm going to tell you this. If the money's close, Pete's a New York Met. If the Mets pause, hesitate, say no thank you, I think he goes elsewhere. Now, the Cincinnati Reds is in the bad landing spot for one Pete Alonso. And I called it last year. I said the Reds are going to be a playoff team, and albeit for one series they were, they still had some work to do. But they got a pretty good pitching staff. They got some really good core players. They got some athletes. Right, Harold, I can't see Pete anywhere but Flushing. Pete is homegrown talent. Pete is the face of the franchise. Pete is your home run prodigious power hitting first baseman. Defensively, and say what you will about one Pete Alonso, he was not awful defensively. I watched every single game. And his scoop value alone should absolutely encourage the Mets to bring him back. But that, again, not my money, not my pockets. I'm not the GM. But David Stearns needs to show me something. He tried to run a quadruple A team out there on the field with a pitching staff. and it blew up badly in his face. Now, I'll be the first to tell you that the relievers he brought in at the break, they all to a man spit the bit. All of them. Eric, no, I don't think Pete's worth 7 years, but I think we could get Pete on a 5 year, $200 million contract. That's 40 million AAV. And if Pete wants to walk from a 5 year, $200 million contract, then that's on Pete. So you give him 7 years, 210, 7 years, 250, or your 5 years, 200. You know, I've made this comment about these wealthy actors and ball players. I mean, how many cars can you drive at one time? You can drive one car at a time. How much filet mignon can you have every single night? You got filet mignon every night, but you're going to have the same amount of cars, same amount of filet mignon at 200 million or 250 million. And if Pete rises to the occasion, if Pete tracks towards 500 home runs, his commercials and his ability to sell himself outside of baseball goes up just a ton. He'll be a hot commodity. He'll be sought after, where he could supplement that $200 million contract. Now, 5 years, I don't think 5 years is a lot, Eric. I really don't. I mean, you'll have him, in my opinion, for 4 solid years, and if you have to eat the 50th, so be it. And it looks like the Mets have adapted or has found the formula that the Los Angeles Dodgers use, since they're going to be paying Devin Williams for many years in deferred payments. Now, the deferred payments works for Cohen because by 2030, that casino is going to be up and rolling, and we know that how all that goes. All right, Eric, you're David Stearns. 3 years to Alonso. How much are you going to pay him? What are you going to do? 3 years and 150, and you're going to give him 50 million a year? If you're willing to do that, give him one more year and give him 200 million. You're saving money per year. I mean, come on now. So that's my humble opinion. Money to Cohen is a non-issue. Now, I'm glad that he's not going to take it, Eric. 3 years at 90 million, no shot at signing Pete Alonso. Zero, zilch, nada. Pete's worth way more than $90 million, more than $30 million a year. Pete has proven that he's durable, one of the most hit guys in the game of baseball. He is durable. He gives you 162 games. He hits with prodigious power. Holy Hannah. I mean, where are you going to find 130 RBIs, Eric? You're not. You're not going to find it. And believe you me, Juan Soto was promised to have protection in that lineup. And if you get rid of Pete, who you replace? You're going to bring in Schwarber? Now, sure, Schwarber hit 50 home runs last year. He's hit and miss, so he either bombs them or he strikes out. And if that's going to be your leadoff guy, your on-base percentage is going to suffer as a team. So let's be reasonable in our conversations. So Simeon's going to be your leadoff hitter. You put Schwarber second. You put Lindor third. You put Soto fourth. Who's batting behind Soto? Now, granted, I agree, Soto doesn't require protection to that degree. I understand that. But it also doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt to have somebody behind Soto. And Soto's going to walk his 100 times a year. And when he walks, you're going to need somebody to back him up, to drive the ball in. I'm not opposed to Simeon, Lindor, Soto, Alonso. because we all know Alonso doesn't walk. He's going to be swinging at the pitches, so his contact's going to be good. And if you have guys on base and put the ball in play, things happen. Your problem is your third base situation. Are we going to go with Beatty? It seems like that's the progress that they're going to go into, right? We're going to go into 2026 with Beatty as your third baseman. Um, we're still forgetting about Bellinger and Tucker. I understand that Tucker had a conversation with the Blue Jays, and the Blue Jays opened up their pocketbook. And my buddy told me, and I didn't vet it, but I believe his wisdom, that the Blue Jays owner is the richest owner in the American League. So, listen, sure, we could put Vientos behind Pete, and Vientos becomes your DH and spells Beatty and Pete at first and third in those situations. I think McNeil probably starts the season with the Mets, but I could see them moving them during the season, especially if he shows some value. I think at the break we could probably get a halfway decent relief pitch if needed. We could get another super utility guy that's a little bit younger. McNeil certainly has value. Listen, if we go into 2026 and McNeil's playing center field, we're going nowhere. And I'm just throwing that out here right now. So I don't think McNeil's your answer. I think the Mets have to shore up their pitching. There's nothing wrong with having Peterson. And nobody's talking about Griffin Canning. What's his situation with Griffin Canning, who was pitching lights out until he ruptured his Achilles? And the ruptured Achilles, is he going to be coming back just as strong? There's a lot of question marks surrounding him. So we're going to have to find out. I'm not really sure where we stand with that. I as a New York Met fan, I have to root for Pete coming back. I just have to. Eric, you bring up the funniest comments ever. You get the award for the most outrageous and silly comments. Ottavino's done with baseball. He's got his podcast now, his blog, whatever you want to call it. He totally ripped to shreds Carlos Mendoza like I have, right? So it's just funny how when I put things out there about the New York Mets in the next weeks or months, it seems like they're listening to Angie's Angles, because there was no bigger guy, hashtag Nemo sucks, than me. And while he was serviceable, he is no longer an outfielder. His defense is suspect at best. And while he did hit for prodigious power with 25 home runs and then 92, 93 RBIs 2 years in a row, he's dealing with the plantar fasciitis, and you don't want to see Nimmo nor McNeil in the outfield. And that's just fact. I don't know what more I could say about that. That's just, if you go into opening day with Nimmo, with McNeil rather, in center field and or left field, it's going to be a long season. Long season. I'm not getting into the political Mandami stuff, Eric. We're all adults, baseball players making their gazillions, living their white ivy castles. The political climate does not affect them at all, in my humble opinion. There was some rumors that Nimmo, that's one of the reasons Nimmo bolted. He's a very conservative guy, and he didn't like the Mandami election. Listen, there's problems everywhere. I mean, Texas has a bad immigration problem, being that they're on the border. So he went into one firestorm to another. That's my humble opinion, but we're not going to digest or divest any more conversation into that political climate. If there is a Santa Claus, Virginia, sign Edwin, sign Pete, sign Frambia and or Joe Ryan, and I'll call it a day. 100% call it a day. We got to give Alvarez one more solid, healthy season to see what he's really about. Does he really have that hole in his swing? Can Vientos rebound, knowing that he's a little bit more seasoned? He's got oppo power just like Mike Piazza. Vientos has amazing oppo power. And then one of the things that I don't get is why we don't bring in a guy like JD Martinez, who's been credited by numerous players on the Mets as being very helpful in their approach to the game as an assistant hitting coach. I mean, why don't we go for seasoned guys instead of these wannabes? Snick is going to be interesting to see how he runs that operation. So we shall see. Don't forget, Kai Correa is supposed to be also very positive influence. I just think that Carlos Mendoza was the wrong choice. I still believe he should be fired. I still believe the New York Mets need a bona fide manager who's time and weathered, experienced, who's been through the mill. He was with the Skankies for 15 years, and all he was a bench coach. It rose to the occasion, and they had every reason to get rid of Boone a couple of years now, and they chose not to. They chose to keep Boone because why? They didn't have a lot of faith in Carlos Mendoza. Those are my comments. I can't believe we're at day 56. Eric Schuster took up a lot of my time and our time here, but I always appreciate the feedback, Eric. We're jumping right into the prayer circle. Again, this week we're praying for the following: Harold and Dawn squared, Carol and Bob, Jerry, Terry Sanchez. It was nice seeing you at Charlotte Speakeasy, and Billy and your daughter. We're praying for your mom's legs and keeping your mother-in-law and your uncle in our memories. Antoinette Brooks, we're praying for your brother Mike as he searches for a kidney. Scott Tobias, we're praying for your wife and mom. Linda Stein had another hand surgery. They found a fractured bone or displaced bone in her wrist that didn't show up initially. So we're praying that she gets well and that she starts cutting back on her work volume. And of course, we're keeping her dad in our prayers. Kevin Elliott, all your mental and physical challenges down there in Florida. Kraus family, we're praying for Aubrey as her cancer remains in remission. Marianne Bello, we're praying for you and your mom out there in Las Vegas. Devin Lee down in Maryland. Always our pleasure to pray for you guys. Larry Levy, my good friend from the baseball field. We're praying for your wife, Frida, as she remains in remission. Update on Mr. McGowan. Mr. McGowan's in a new rehab spot. He apparently fell at the old one where they had unsupervised supervision on him, and he fell. He suffered a brain bleed, a fractured pelvis. So he's recouping. Ralphie, we're praying for you here at Smoke Therapy. Pete and Shani, we're praying for you guys down there in Florida. Tom, we're praying for your friend Pat. Big John, Smoke Therapy, we're praying for your friend Irene. Joe Echevarria, we're praying for your heart condition. West Coast, Dave Prince, you got to give us an update on your blood work. Johnny Barbecue has sciatica surgery. He's recouping just fine. The doctor, the nurses, and even himself, he says, feeling 1,000% better. John W., we're praying for Elizabeth. Johnny V., we're praying for your father-in-law. And let us pray for the world. Some positive notes. My niece, Natalie Solomon, got engaged to Dean Perna. They couldn't have found better people if they scripted it. Dean and Natalie are like peanut butter and jelly. They belong together. I've known Dean a whole bunch of years now, and he's a stand-up kid working in the accounting field. He's got a good head on his shoulders, and I look forward to celebrating many, many years and having some grandnieces. So congratulations to my niece, Natalie. She's my hero. She's got juvenile diabetes, and that's never held her back, not 1 second. As you all know, I suffer from diabetes, so she's been my inspiration from day one. So this has been Angie's Angles coming to you live from Smoke Therapy, 215 Ronkonkoma Avenue, Ronkonkoma, New York. Good night. God bless. I love you.